What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel, and welcome to week 1 of SPL D-League. This week we kick things off by facing the Dublin Slow Bohemians piloted by TJ, and while he might be new to Wi-Fi, he is no slouch when it comes to Draft League. Make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already to make sure you don't miss any of the exciting videos, and here are the 6 that I will be bringing this week. If you would like details on why I am bringing what I am bringing, check the description box down below and there will be a document that I have written up with all of those details. Also, huge shout out to Sky Retro Alpha, Super Saiyan John, A12, Viz, and Zenkai Boosted for prep help and mocks. Thank you to Ruppy for the model used in the thumbnail, and without any further ado, let's jump right in. Here we go, week 1 of SPL, and I have been looking forward to this for a while. Like I said in the intro, we are facing off against TJ, and yeah, you'll notice that we are on the wrong side of the field, and that is because your boy had a really hard week. Basically, the day that we were supposed to battle was the day that I also got a backup cooler for my CPU on my computer because my AIO had been making a bunch of pump noise, and so I needed to get it replaced and send it back for warranty. And so in the process of cleaning everything up, basically I bent some of the pins on my motherboard, and so my motherboard was no longer functioning. So I had to order a new one, but obviously I couldn't do that same day, so thankfully TJ was able to record everything and send it my way. So huge shout outs to my opponent for sending over this footage so that I have something to show you this week. Really cool. We will be back next week, myself recording everything. We're all good. I got a new motherboard put in and everything, so we're good. It's just for this week. But anyway, this is a very interesting game, as I'm obviously coming to you in post since I couldn't record in real time. I had brought what I thought was a really fun Deoxys set into a Scarf Meowscarada, which was counter with Focus Sash, except that he just scouts for it for some reason, and that really sucked because then my entire plan just kind of went down the drain. Yeah, I had brought minus defense nature, 0 defense IV in order to make sure that I took maximum damage from U-turn, and I had taken enough HP to be able to OHKO max HP Alola Mola, so anything that came in there was gone. It was basically a free KO, and then basically try to set spikes on the way out, and so go from there. But it didn't work out. It did not work out at all, but we do deal half with a knockoff, which is pretty cool. We were max attack, lonely nature on this, so we're dealing a lot of damage, which was cool. But yeah, we're a pretty standard Deoxys set this week. This team is really difficult. This has to be one of my tougher matchups, if not the toughest of the entire season. This entire team is super anti-Psy spam, and so if you haven't seen what my entire team is and why I brought it, make sure to check out my draft analysis, and that'll be up in the iCard above for you to look at. That goes over all the mons I took and why I took them and all that good stuff. But essentially, this is a Psy spam team, at least it's supposed to be, but I didn't do Psy spam this week because he has this steel type that's always coming. He's got a poison type that is also a dark type, so that doesn't help. And of course, he's got the Meowscarada, pretty much the best dark type in the format. So just for all of the reasons, this was just a really difficult matchup for me. And so plus Alola Mola being super bulky, that makes it really difficult as well. And the Terra Espathra that I really wanted on my team that can also take advantage of that psychic terrain. So just for every reason, essentially, this matchup was not in my favor. So you'll see me go for an Endure here. The Endure tech was actually, again, part of the regular sequence that got completely broken by him hard switching out and scouting for counter. Again, I don't know why he scouted for counter. That just seems like a really niche thing, especially on week 1 to check for, but I don't know. It is what it is, I guess. Really was expecting the U-turn, take me down to Sash, expect me to set hazards and that kind of thing, but just seems like a really strange scout. And also 2 priority moves into the Psychic Terrain team, also a little strange as well. But either way, seems to be working out for him. So what are you gonna do? But yeah, I had brought this just to kind of be a disruption. The Endure Tech was to, on the initial U-turn, it gets out, I go down to Sash, then I knock out something with counter. He then goes into Meowscarada to revenge it, and then I endure on the U-turn back out, and then hopefully get a knockoff or a spike or something like that on the way in. Obviously that didn't work out, and it really worked out the same with him bringing 2 priority mons. It would have gone the same way, but we're going to save this as a sack later. In hindsight, it probably was just as good to sack it there, but we are going to go into our Dragalge. Dragalge taking some rocks damage, obviously, and then we take 0 from an Aqua Jet, and our Rocky Helmet is going to go off. We actually brought 2 Rocky Helmets this week just because all of these physical mons are a real pain for my team. So yeah, we brought a very, very bulky max defense Dragalge this week. And I mean, this thing still hits incredibly hard with the adaptability with Dracos and Sludge Bombs. I brought Sludge Bomb because I wanted the higher chance of possibly poisoning. So I went with that over the Sludge Wave for a little bit more damage. I do get crit there on the crunch, which is a little unfortunate. But then we also get a Scald Burn on the next turn, so kind of evens out. So I mean, I'll take it, although I do think that in the long run, the burn ended up having a lot less of an effect on the match than that crit does, and you'll see why later on. But what are you going to do? It is what it is. It's hacks for hacks, so I can't complain too much about it. So it is what it is. So he's going to hard switch out and go out into his Jirachi. And again, I'm kind of feeling ready for all these physical mons. And we're getting some Spikes chip, which is good, but we're going to flip turn out. I don't want to deal with that. I figured he would get out because of the burn, and so that's good. And plus, if he had hit me, then that was more helmet chip, so that's totally fine. And so to me right now, it makes the most sense to go Ting Lu. And shout outs to Ting Lu. This is supposed to be nicknamed Snuff or Snuffleup, I guess, in case you missed my nicknaming scheme. But yeah, but it does not work on shiny Ting Lu, and I refuse to not use the shiny if the shiny is available. So it is what it is. But yeah, we're very bulky on this as well. Actually, max defense Ting Lu as well, and we've also got a couple of other techs in there. He's going to U-turn. Does a tiny bit of damage. This is where I was wishing that I was actually weakness policy, because that would have been wild and done a million, because he doesn't have anything off the ground. So at this point I would have earthquaked, and then I would have found out that he was air balloon on this. Yeah, he brought air balloon just to beat this, but I figured this was coming, and so I whirlwinded it out, which I thought was a pretty decent play. So we're going to be stacking up that Spikes damage. He's going to be forced out into the Overquill, which is still not a great switch in for him. So we're going to get Burn Chip and Spikes Chip, which is pretty nice. Again, the Burn Chip isn't making a huge difference here. And so I kind of went back and forth on what I should do. At this point, it was either wait for him to hit me with a water move and then, you know, set rocks or hit with an EQ or something, take out the Overquill, or does he go back into the bird? He ends up deciding to go back into the bird. That is not the prediction that I made, and so unfortunately he does get it in Quaquaval, which is a big threat. I did double switch though. I did switch out here actually, and we do go out into this, which actually ends up not being too bad. The rocks damage again is really racking up, and I'm not a huge fan of it, but this is not the worst thing to be in on. We get to find out if he is Ice Spinner in order to get rid of the terrain, which was something that I did see in my mocks a little bit. So yeah, it does seem like a good tech, and obviously Moxie on this plus Aqua Step and all that good stuff is incredibly powerful. But turns out he doesn't actually have any of that. I didn't know that at the time, obviously, but yeah, it turns out he doesn't have any of that, and so we're gonna find that out slowly as the match goes on. But I was fully expecting him to just swap back out here, just with this coming in and being pretty defensive. I figured that I could probably probably take a hit from a water move or something like that. Turns out he has Brave Bird. I cannot take Brave Bird. Doesn't matter. But he is going to now take Rocky Helmet chip plus the recoil chip, which is pretty decent amount of chip, but not massive. And we do see the Moxie boost. So things are getting dangerous. This thing is always a problem, and you have to deal with it quickly. So I'm going to go into this. Now, again, I do think Brave Bird is going to do a lot to me. I don't think that I necessarily go down to this, but Brave Bird is definitely nice. And you'll see that he actually brought Mirror Herb on his Alola Mola. He was waiting for me to actually belly drum on this and try to get an offensive sweep with Alola Mola, which is wild tech, absolutely wild tech. Luckily, I am not belly drummed this week. And you'll see from this damage, I am choice banded. So yeah, that does a ton to this thing. And basically he does not have a switch into this. He really can't afford to stay in because he's more like physically offensive. And so it's basically either give this up or give me something, because Azumarill is going to take a soul, at least one soul, Azumarill. So I mean, look at that face. That right there, that face is the face of just knowing that something is about to have a really bad time. And so the best switch for him is actually going to be probably going into either this or Jirachi. And so just they're both really low. They've both served their purposes. You know, Quill is obviously burned at this point, so that doesn't help. And so I also expected him to be Swift Swim this week. Turns out he was not, and so we get to find that out as well, because yeah, Poison Point goes off and I get poisoned, which is super annoying. Again on the hacks level, not the best, but what are you gonna do? But yeah, the poison does suck. Like I said, we're banded, we're not belly drum, so we're not going to be intentionally taking a bunch of damage, but it does still hurt to be taking that. But oh well. Anyway, so now my opponent gets to go into whatever he wants, and there are a couple of options that make a lot of sense. Now, originally I was actually a Sap Sipper version of this, and we changed it kind of later in the cycle. But yeah, we ended up just going back with the huge power, choice banded, deal a ton of damage, that kind of thing. And he brought Terra Grass, so it would have been pretty cool to have this, and it would have completely walled this set. We did expect Terra Grass as a possibility. It was either this or fighting, but ended up being Grass as kind of a neutral play to deal with the Ting-Lu. And look at that! Look what's coming in right as he does that. So yeah, unfortunately, we're about to be in for a pretty rough time. Although Ting-Lu is quite bulky, and Espathra is not all that crazy strong initially speaking. But I was calling the Lumina Crash there to kind of soften up the Azumarill, and that's not at all what happened. So here we are taking an Energy Ball plus the Terra boost. We do live, just not well. And so there is, of course, Life Orb recoil and a speed boost, which is unfortunate. Should I have done something different? Probably. Ting-Lu obviously needs to have stayed healthy, and that would have been much better. But what are you gonna do? It is what it is. So yeah, at this point, you know, Ting-Lu's on basically no HP. It's super slow. That kind of sucks. It's going to go down to hazards when it comes back in. So now I've got two Mons on my squad that are essentially on 1 HP and go down to hazards. I've got this, and I've got the Deoxys. So I might as well let this go. I can't switch back in. There's not really a whole lot I can do about it. So we're just going to let Ting-Lu go down. And you did good, buddy. Good try. It's okay. We'll do better next week. It's all good. But we are chipping this down, obviously, with its Life Orb, so that is helpful. And I do have a Mon that I think I can go into pretty safely, and that is the Hatterene. So Hatterene, of course, is just naturally pretty bulky, especially on the special side. I'm max HP. I don't have any Spadef on it this week. But either way, I should be able to live anything that this wants to go for, as long as it's not Calm Minding Up and that kind of thing. And so I'm good to go ahead and do that. And so we can kind of kind of do some mid-game breaking, hopefully, because with the Overquill gone, we're doing okay as far as how the AZUMARILL is looking. So he is going to go for the Shadow Ball. It is going to hurt, but we do live, and so a little more chip there, and we get the Trick Room off, which is great because I did bring several slow mons that are quite offensive, and so they love the slow. They love all the slow stuff. So at this point, I hard predicted a protect. It was super obvious that he would protect, just to try to waste the turns of Trick Room. So I took the opportunity to just go ahead and Healing Wish off. So that way I didn't have to worry about anything like that. You know, it was going to be a wasted turn anyway. Might as well make him waste his protect. And of course now we can get rid of that poison on the AZUMARILL, which is pretty nice. So that is where we are going to go right now. And so yeah, maybe this thing is a glass cannon, right? The bird is a glass cannon. It can deal a decent amount of damage. It really needs some boosts to go nuts, but it's got some damage potential, right? But now you're in against a full health, no longer poisoned AZUMARILL that is choice banded. Something is going to go down at this point, and I think TJ knows it. And I think he also knows that going for a double protect is probably a little too risky. So at this point, it's probably best to just send in a sack and then go into something else and go from there. And I believe that is exactly what he is going to do at this point. And just go ahead and give me the Jirachi. I believe we can do about 40 HP worth of damage with a choice banded AZUMARILL. Seems pretty doable. So yeah, AZUMARILL gonna claim yet another, which is great. So I'm a huge fan of Azu. I think it's great. I think it fits a nice little offensive water roll, and can be a little more defensive, which we may try out in the future. But actually, it doesn't even survive the spikes. So it just goes down to spikes. So technically Deoxys gets that KO, but oh well, no problem. We figured that would be the case. And that's totally fine. And at this point, it makes the most sense to go into Espathra and to just go ahead and click Protect. Again, he's in play rough range, but if he clicks Protect, then he's of course wasting more of my Trick Room turns, and that works out really well for him. We do get some more spikes chip on him, which is nice, and there is the Protect. It makes the most sense. I don't know why he would click anything else, and so yeah, we're gonna predict that. It's a pretty obvious call, and I don't want to be stuck in with this when the Trick Room runs out. So to me, it makes the most sense to actually get out of there and do something else. So we are actually going to swap out this turn, and this is me taking some time to think about that and actually get out and go to something that's a little bit more advantageous. But yeah, I don't want to just leave this in to take the grass move. Just seems like a really bad idea. And so we're going to actually go out into Elmo, which is the Armor Rouge. Now this set originally was meant to be a lot more effective, but he didn't bring the team that really made it do what it needed to do. So that is a little unfortunate. So he is going to probably switch on this. But yeah, offensive Alola is not the best, although him not being like an AV set certainly is nice. And so yeah, he's kind of having to make a tough decision here on what he wants to do. If I'm going to click the fire move, does he go into the duck? Does he go into the fish? If I'm going to click a psychic move, would he want to go into the cat? You know, that kind of thing. So it's a few risks that he has to take here. And so we can go from there. He also knows that I am also Terra Grass on this, and so yeah, he knows that I can kind of set up and do some damage there. The issue with Armor Rouge is that it needs a lot of setup to work. Its stats are okay, but they're not incredible. And so yeah, but I'm gonna reveal that I'm actually a substitute variant this time. Originally, I was like a weakness policy. Plus stored power, you know, the really standard set that everybody runs. But we ended up going with sub on this set and doing something completely different. And so you see Acro with Mirror Herb, which is absolutely wild. And I think he was expecting me to like Calm Mind here or something like that. But we ended up just going for the raw Terra Blast, and I was shocked to see this just go down, and that confirms that this was offensive. It also means that I was best off actually just going ahead and taking this out, because it means I get to maintain my sub, which is really nice. And we actually have another tech on this that that I will, we'll see if I get to show it off. But yeah, either way, the only thing that I really hate about weak armor is that weak armor does not activate when a sub hits. So that's unfortunate. I wish that if there was a U-turn or something like that, then I could get faster. But unfortunately, it does not like it. So very, very sad. But either way, he is going to click that triple axle. At this point, I didn't really have a great switch in. I mean, I guess I could have gone like hard AZUMARILL, but that was still risky in case he just, did the random power flower trick or whatever it happens to be. But yeah, he is going to get that, and he is going to get all 3 hits, because why not? Anytime I use triple axle, I miss. I miss at some point down the line. I miss. But yeah, he does get all 3 hits, and our Armarouge goes down. If we had not gotten all 3 hits, Armarouge may have actually just gone nuts at that point, because yeah, we had some other tech in there that would have been really cool, but we'll save that for another week. You can see it in the doc in the description. But yeah, at this point, basically, I know it's pretty much over, so we're just trying to save diff at this point. And so yeah, I know that he's locked into the triple axle, so I know that this is a pretty free switch, and I think he knows that I can just click play rough for free. I don't have any reason to click any other move at this point, so he has to give me something in order to switch his move back to the flower trick, and then he's all set. But yeah, Quaquaval comes in, eats a play rough, and it's gone. So AZUMARILL doing some work here, man. I think that anybody who wants to sleep on this thing, you shouldn't. It's a really, really fun mon. But yeah, at this point, he's pretty free to go either into the Masquerada, or he can go into the Espathra. Both make complete sense at this point. Both are grass types. They both resist if I were to try to go for an Aqua Jet. They both are much faster than me and can take me out with a grass move. So yeah, either way, I can see the writing on the wall. I don't think there's any way out for me at this point. But either way, being able to claw my way back in one of the worst matchups of the season and be able to only lose 2-0, I'm not too upset, honestly. It's honestly totally fine. Like I said, this matchup was incredibly difficult on paper, and honestly, it was even worse in practice. So yeah, I did a lot of mocks, I did a lot of testing, I did a lot of changing, and basically there was never a time where I was actually confident going into this matchup. But only going down 2-0, I'm okay with it. I'm totally fine with that diff, and at this point, I'm thinking, is there any reason to do anything? And there's not. I mean, I could have switched to switch up my moves, but obviously this thing is not going to go down to an Aqua Jet, and the only thing left is going to be that 1 HP Deoxys, which will go down to the rocks. So that is it. That is your game for week 1. Unfortunate that we lost, but like I said, it was kind of expected. It was a really, really hard matchup, and I don't think there was any world where I won this one, but it is what it is, and we're going to learn from it, and we're going to come back even stronger week 2, even though we face Greninja, and another really strong dark type. And so yeah, it's going to be a really, really tough matchup next week, but you know what, we're going to figure it out. We're going to go back to the drawing board, start over, see what we can do. And so I hope you all will join me for that. So thank you all again so much for watching. Stay safe out there, stay healthy. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.